I spent so much of my young life waiting to feel happier, waiting for something great to happen, waiting for that external stimuli. And most of the time, I felt anxiety and angst and like I wasn't good enough. Like sometimes I would go into deep spirals downward of depression, and I would just kind of wait to feel better. I was rarely proactive, seeking it out, seeking out happiness. I didn't get the right information. Nobody taught me that you're the one that gets to choose. You get to choose happiness. It wasn't until I was into my mid to late 20s where I started to get that information that you can choose. Sadly, as a teen and young adult, I got a bipolar diagnosis, which exacerbated my problems. I'm not bipolar. I had a heavy substance use problem at the time. And sure, I acted out my emotions to the extreme, but I'm not bipolar. I stopped my heavy substance use in my early 20s. After much exposure to AA growing up, I ended up in AA myself for a period of about 10 years. But while I was there, it didn't make sense to me. I had to figure it out. I went to college for behavioral health. I studied addiction, only to learn that it was all wrong. The mental health side of things was very much focused on diagnosing people, labeling them, and medicating them. The addiction side of things was very much focused on diagnosing people, labeling them, and at the time not medicating them, but sending them to support group meetings and things like that. There was really no research to show that any of this stuff was effective. If anything, it showed that it wasn't. We were taught the best you can hope for, for someone is for them to put some time together and have a little bit better quality of life while they're sober. But relapse really is kind of cooked into recovery, and it's to be expected. I mean, clinicians are taught that all the time. Don't take it personally if someone that you're working with relapses, because that's to be expected. God, do you know any other illness where failure is cooked into the treatment as being an expected part of the treatment? No. It wasn't good enough for me and the team of people that I work with, including Mark. I needed to know just how much control people have, not just over their behaviors, but their desires, their emotions, their perceptions, the general direction of their lives. And it turns out it's tremendous. Gosh, the human mind is miraculous. The thing about the freedom model, what we learned, is people generally move towards what they think. They have some odd idea of what might make them happier, so they move in that direction. But how do you intentionally move in a direction of real happiness? How do you do that? How do you stop a behavior? An addiction is what it's called, right? A behavior that maybe at one point in your life seemed to give you some level of happiness, but for a while it's not. But you keep moving in that direction because you know what? It's better than nothing. People stay in toxic, abusive relationships all the time for that reason, because they eke out that tiny bit of happiness that they can get, and it's worth it to them. Well, that's addiction. So how do you move with intention? How do you mindfully change what you like? Change your preference. We figured it out. And I'm going to tell you right now that I have worked with thousands of people, and I can help anyone solve their addiction. It's not arrogance on my part. I've just tapped into this. It's all I've done for the last 34 years. That's all I've done, is studied it and helped people.